Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to be talking about whether or not you need a college degree in order to be financially successful over the period of your working career. Now this might sound silly to a lot of people who are listening to this, but this is actually a very common question amongst a lot of online forums as well as websites where people have questions of whether or not a college degree is actually going to make them more or less financially successful over the period of their working career. Now one of the things to actually consider is whether or not you want to go into a field that's very highly regulated, that's actually going to require you to have a specific degree or courses in a particular field of study in order for you to actually be in that specific profession. A great example of this would be accounting, law, medicine, nursing. You get the idea there. In those particular cases, in order for you to actually be in the field, you can't really get around the college degree requirement. So that might actually change the conversation a little bit for people in that particular situation. However, another thing to really consider if you aren't in this particular scenario is whether or not what you want to get into is going to require you to have a specific degree and whether or not this is actually going to accelerate or decelerate your path into getting there. What I mean by this is the fact that college might be great in providing you with a foundation of knowledge that's going to be beneficial to you in that particular field of study, but it might put you in a particular situation, either financially or even socioeconomically, that's going to prevent you from actually pursuing that field in a way that you would like to. So, as an example, if you want to get into nonprofit work for the purposes of this specific example, if you happen to pursue a degree at a particular cost that's going to prohibit you from actually taking non-paid positions or taking internships after you graduate the program, you might actually be moving backwards in your specific goals. The other thing to really keep front of mind is the fact that are you looking to get into a field that's so cutting edge that academia hasn't really even adopted it yet, right? And so there's a lot of fields such as AI that are just so breakthrough and so revolutionary that a lot of the subject matter that's being taught or a lot of subject matter that's being practice in the actual field is much different than what's being taught academically now as well. We've traditionally found that academia has been a little bit slower in some fields to adopt the new knowledge that has already hit the marketplace. This is particularly true for technology, although not in all cases, but it's something else for you to consider as well. Perhaps you're looking to get into computer science or computer programming, and you find as though the particular field you want to get into a startup field, it doesn't really require you to get a degree, and you just need a few programming languages for you to get into the field to get some relevant working experience, and then you can kind of build your career based off of that. The one benefit to keep front of mind is the fact that just because you don't go to college right now and just because you say no to college right now doesn't mean you're saying no to it forever. The great thing about the universities is the fact that they're really legacy institutions and that they pride themselves in being around for 50, 100 years, 150 years, which is great because that generally means that they're not going to go anywhere. So if you feel as though there's something that you need to pursue right now to see whether or not it's something that you even enjoy, or maybe you just want to have some internships, unpaid internships, or start out your own company for a few years and you want to see whether or not this is actually something that's going to be financially lucrative for you in the future or whether or not it's something that you even enjoy, there's an opportunity to actually pursue that and then particularly go back to college if you feel like that's something that's necessary for you to be in the actual field. So getting to the specific money aspect of the question, what people have to remember is the fact that institutions are not responsible for financial outcomes, they're responsible for academic outcomes. Now, this might be hard for a lot of people to digest because a lot of people look at college and university very linearly. They look at it like, I'm investing this amount of money, what money am I getting back? And that's a very, very fair question. However, what you're actually doing when you go to college and university is you're trading your money for knowledge. And that knowledge might be able to lead you down a path that might be financially lucrative for you. And a lot of people kind of bank on that. And that's why they would actually go to college in the first place. But this isn't really something that's guaranteed. And this is something that doesn't really sit well with a lot of people now because a lot of what they're paying money to receive, a lot of the knowledge that they're receiving for the money that they're paying is actually available through other means, either for a very reduced cost or in some cases at no cost at all. And so a lot of people are really looking at whether or not the actual credential itself carries any type of value in the marketplace. And that's a very legitimate question that we're seeing emerge now more than ever before. And it's really going to be interesting to see how the workplace actually adapts and whether or not the academic credential is going to carry as much weight in the future as it has in the past. In the past, a college degree itself has been a great barrier for employers to actually determine what's the baseline knowledge that this particular employee has getting them into the actual field. And based off of that, we'll know what we need to train them, what their capabilities are, and we have kind of a filter and a funnel to determine what is and isn't necessarily a good candidate. It's much more democratized in the modern world because of the fact that technology has opened up the floodgates of knowledge and has really taken the power away from institutions that have kind of safeguarded it for so long. So for this reason, financial success is more and more coming from candidates who haven't actually pursued the traditional college route, particularly because they've been able to get the specific knowledge and information that was going to help them be successful in their particular field of study. So the biggest thing for you to consider is what field you actually want to get into and whether or not college is a barrier to get into that field. If it isn't, then it's not something that's necessarily required for you to be successful in that field, but it might be something that will help you get opportunities within that field that you might not otherwise be able to get. These opportunities in themselves might not make you financially successful, but they might provide you with the experience and the paradigm for you to be able to maybe start your own business or maybe launch off into some other venture that might eventually lead to your success. So college itself and the act of having a college degree is not going to lead to financial success, but it's going to provide you with an academic paradigm that's going to change your frame of mind, change your thinking, so that in the future you might be able to use some of those experiences to gain other experiences, build out a particular network, and perhaps use those resources that you've been able to accumulate in ways that might make you financially successful. So again, it's not a black and white situation. A lot of people would love to hear, yes, go to college, get this degree, and boom, you're going to look in your bank account, you're going to have this much money associated to it. Anyone who's been to college or has looked into it at all knows that this isn't the case, but this really isn't the case for anything. There isn't any credential that you can get and just come to riches days after you have it or years after you've had it without putting in a significant amount of work. There's plenty of people who've gone to college who've been successful and plenty of people who haven't gone to college who've been successful. It's really about the work that gets put into the actual field of study that people are looking to get into career-wise, and whether or not they can make use of the knowledge that they're able to get, whether through college or whether through other means as well. So I hope that this has added a little bit of clarification for you. I'd love to hear other people's opinions about this. I know this is a very hot button issue. I'm not necessarily taking any sides one way or another. I think that it's very situational, and it also really does depend on where in the world you actually live as well. Of course, in North America, with the rising cost of education, it's a very different conversation as compared to some other places in the world where they actually have 3-year degrees and it's actually covered by the state. So completely different situation depending on where you live. But I'd love to hear your comments, questions, concerns in the comment section below. If you appreciate this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you like the content. And as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.